1, go. And we are into the next game in the series between Slam and MbL. And they are also, sorry, with Slam and MbL versus RiuT and Miguel, which rhymes a little bit, and we are playing on the map Mongolia.
Yeah, wow. Mongolia. It's been some time since I have seen anything on this map, and it's such a different, weird map. I am a fan of this map, to be honest. I like it. And, it's typical that we would get a map again like Mongolia, whereas that when we're casting together, it's one of those maps that's probably going to go to the super late game just because of how easy it is to wall these choke points and secure your base. Now, with that said, let's introduce the civs and the players and the teams and all that stuff. So, up to the east of the map, or northeast of the map, we have Slam in the blue, playing as the Berbers. And up to the sort of northwest, I suppose, in the green, we have MbL playing as the Indians. So Slam and MbL this time around are going to be using the new civilizations, Indians and Berbers. Pretty cool, pretty cool combination, sorry. We've seen quite a bit of the Indians in this tournament and the last, but the Berbers making their first appearance, I believe, in the Return of the Kings tournament here.
Mm-hmm. And on the bottom side of the map, we have RiuT playing as the Yellow Celts, and he will be teaming up with Miguel to his right, playing as the Red Huns. So it's cool to see the classic civilizations matching off against the new ones. And we also have Huns and Celts this time. The Huns, of course, a civilization with a very crappy siege line minus siege rams, paired with the Celts, a civilization with an absolutely excellent siege line, so some pretty good balance there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, pretty cool that we've got the Celts here, actually. I'm quite a fan of that, especially on a map like this. Bear in mind, the players knew the map before they picked the civs, so that really does influence a lot of things, and you can see that because I don't think the Celts would have been picked on many of the other maps here for RiuT to play as. So the fact that this is a map with a lot of choke points, a map that's probably going to go to the late game, of course they want to take advantage of that Celtic siege, firing faster, and if they can get the onagers out, that's going to be huge as well. Versus the Berbers, we could probably expect to see some camel archers or ranged units from them. So I feel like that's a great choice to have the Celts in the game. And versus the Indians, I mean, a lot of the time we're seeing Indians making arbalest. We're seeing them making hand cannons, for example. Again, the siege could work very well there. So I think that heavy siege in the late game could be invaluable to RiuT and Miguel. We'll have to see how it plays out. It's not guaranteed to go late. It's just something that we assume might happen given the map.
So in my experience, I feel like the Huns versus the Indians is one of the worst civ matchups in the game. This is mostly because the Huns as a civilization really struggle against strong camels. They're very weak versus the Saracens in the super late game, even though they can beat the Saracens handily early on. And I feel like we have a very similar dynamic with the Indians, except the Indians are the faster civilization with their insanely strong economy. So it's nice to see that we have a civilization like the Celts, which can kind of go toe-to-toe with the Indians, and at least those two players aren't adjacent to each other. That way, hopefully, that doesn't become too much of a problem, because the Huns are just a very cavalry-dominant civilization, so they have a lot of difficulty answering that. So it's nice to see such a balanced choice of civilizations between both teams.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, the Huns, they're going to be a little bit more of a fast-paced civ. Mm-hmm. And, I think the Huns can be, although they're quite predictable in the late game, in the mid game, they can be very potent due to the fact that, they've got a nice eco bonus in saving resources with their houses. They can be pretty quick as well. So if Slam is unable to wall in time, maybe Miguel could find an opportunity there to hit him in the mid game or even early game. We'll see. It's unlikely though, because just how easy this is to wall. But given how easy it is to wall, given how messy it is with all the cliffs and stuff, Mongolia does pose another problem in the late game, and that is, of course, trading. Trading on this map is very difficult. There's not many places to place a market at the edge of the map, and if you do find some places for the market, everything else in between can be a bit of a headache. Could see a lot of trade carts getting stuck, getting caught on each other here, and that could be a real problem as the game goes on.
Oh yeah, that it can, because of course these team games, if the game actually goes to 50 minutes or beyond, it always revolves around keeping that trade line alive. They need that constant gold income to sustain them. And on Mongolia, it's very difficult to do that. So right off the bat, it looks like MbL will be putting down a barracks, but that will be seen immediately by RiuT, who is going to delay this by attacking that villager with his scout. And crucially, MbL does not have Loom either. He actually tried fighting that scout for a little bit. Will he be able to rescue this villager? It's going to be one more hit. This villager is down, and the barracks delayed at 90%. This is a huge blow to MbL's early game.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that right now, and see what you mean. I mean, wait, yeah, running back, of course. I was just a bit lost because I was looking at Slam's side of the map, and I see he was making a barracks as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're going to see a double drush coming in. That's quite exciting. But of course, MbL losing a villager here is costly. However, MbL will finish up his barracks and get a militia out. So it's delayed him, it's hurt him, but he's definitely still got a chance here to carry out his drush like he planned. Now, drushing on this map, I was actually going to say this earlier on. We're already at like 9 minutes though, so I didn't say it early enough. But drushing can be seen quite a lot actually. In 1v1 you see drushing all the time on this map, because although it is easy to wall, it certainly still does take a little bit of effort to actually get a villager out and find, because it relies on scouting, right? Because there's so many little holes that you have to fill up or to block. So you have to scout them all, and it takes some time to do that. So as a result, even though it's easy to wall, it takes time anyway, because you have to get the scouting info, you have to find all the holes, and then you have to block them up individually. And so as a result, yeah,
I feel like
it's drushable. Sorry.
Oh yeah, this map is definitely drushable, and this is also the type of map where after your drush, you could definitely transition into a castle age, fast castle age if you wanted. Do have to watch for all these wolves though, weakening all these militia. It's a tricky balance because it's so likely for there to be a gap, but at the same time, this map, if you can find all the gaps and do some very excellent scouting, then you should be able to deny the drush. There's actually a relic in front of RiuT's base that's completely surrounded by the cliff, so it's a ridiculous map generation. RiuT needs to finish his quick wall off quite soon because the drush is closing in. Will he be able to sneak in there? On the other side of the map, it looks like Miguel's base is basically completely open because he can't really build houses as the Hun, so he really only has to rely on his palisade walls to try and hold the line, and he's got his stable down. Will his drush do damage?
Yeah, Miguel's not bothered about walling right now. He's feudal already, scout's coming out, and he's going to have his scout out before the drush comes in, so he should be alright there. Now, I wanted to ask Nilpford, actually, how you feel about Miguel playing so open here. Do you think he might be making a mistake by not walling up yet?
I think he won't play that open the whole game.
I thought Nilpford was in the cast with us. Turns out he's not here, guys. Yeah, okay, never mind. Oh, he is here.
What happened? Okay.
Okay.
I think like going early feudal age gives him the opportunity to easily defend, but later on obviously he is super open. I think he will, but with a very tight map, maybe build a defensive tower and maybe go for some defensive CA and should be safe, but yeah. Generally, you try to take the approach if one of your teammates is walling, you should wall as well.
Oh man, this is such a close fight, but the trick is though is that Miguel recognizes that it's best here to pull off a couple of villagers, which means they aren't gathering any wood, weakens his economy a bit, but it's important to win that early game engagement, and this gives him the map control he needs to move out with his scouts and look for some pickoffs. Crucially though, Slam is completely walled off, so Miguel won't really be able to do anything with his scouts, and meanwhile on the other side of the map, RiuT pressuring that palisade wall with the hill advantage with that scout too, but so far no one really being able to get in there and do that eco damage.
Yeah, the drushes so far seem to have been shut down quite quickly. MbL has actually not done anything with his drush yet. He's on the way back home with his own militia to deal with the drush from RiuT, which is banging away on that palisade wall. So all in all, it probably is going to end up being quite even. Miguel, with his scout cavalry, this is the thing here. How is he going to do damage? Where is he going to do damage? Everything's walled up now. So these scouts, they've cost him some resources. He's defended with them, and that's about it. He's now going to go wall himself and transition up to the castle age as well. But that's going to be a little bit delayed now because Slam's already up to castle. MbL's not far away. RiuT is already up as well. And I feel like Miguel here might be a little bit delayed due to that. Or those scouts that he had to build there.
So near MbL's main gold mine, we see some very good micro from him, kiting those militia from RiuT back and forth. That way they're not getting to deal any damage. However, though, Miguel in here to reinforce this army, and he will just mop up all of MbL's militia. So now RiuT is going to take a little bit of pressure. He really is the only open base in the map. He is making some spearmen, which I think is the right decision to ward off those scout cavalry, but he has to be careful. This gold mine is out in the open and right next to a hill.
You mean MbL, I think.
Yeah, oops.
Yeah, MbL with the spears. Yeah, defending quite nicely there. I was a bit confused, like RiuT. Yeah. Okay, so MbL is a little more open. I agree, and I think he needs to just close up. This is what we were saying before about it being quite difficult to scout all of the holes. MbL realizing that he should probably wall out a little bit further forward, and he's going to do that now with the villager on the right building walls and the villager on the sort of south of his gold mine building up there as well. So that's now going to secure that area. But yeah, Miguel doing some good damage so far, and causing MbL to lose a bit of time, I guess, and react here with those spears. But ultimately, so far, not a huge amount has been achieved by anybody yet. And as we see the Castle Age coming in, that's when things are starting to get interesting. RiuT making archers right now. He's going to be going to crossbows. MbL is going to be doing the same over on his side. Slam, on the other hand, one of the first to hit castle, or second to hit castle even, just slightly after RiuT, doesn't show any signs that he's like just going to go all out aggression. He's just adding in his second TC at the moment and got a single stable, so there's going to be like a nice balance for him between economy and aggression here. See if he can get out 3 knights and do some damage with them.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to be going for a 1 stable knights play, which should be fine, especially considering that Miguel is still in the feudal age, so he doesn't really have a clean answer to those knights. Miguel's scouts might actually walk directly into this knight, we'll have to see. Meanwhile, though, Miguel wants to play it safe. He is actually double palisading his own base just to make sure that those knights don't do too much damage while he claws his way up to the castle age. Swap over to Miguel's perspective. He's a little past 50% on that research time. He's got 2 stables. I feel like he wants to go for 2 stable knights. And he should be fine, but he does have to watch out, though, for the fact that Slam is the Berbers and can easily mix in some camels.
Yeah, that could catch him off guard, actually, and that's again where the Huns might fall down here. You can see Miguel, he is going for that much more aggressive build with the 2 stables. That's a very big contrast to Slam, who's just on the 1 stable in the second TC. So those knights are closing in. Is Miguel close to the Castle Age? Well, he is closing in on that at 90%. As you said, double walling with the palisades, but what are they good for if there's a hole in the wall? They're good for absolutely nothing, Rez. They're useless. He may as well not have wasted his time. He may as well not have bothered. He should have just gone home. Yeah, Slam into the base of Miguel as Miguel hits castle there. Wall's absolutely useless, but 2 stable knights will be able to, provide enough of a defense to deal with this quite easily.
There's always a hole in the wall when I cast with you, and I guess the only thing about those palisade walls is it maybe bought a little bit of time as Slam had to walk a slightly longer distance, but really that was just a big waste of wood. The good news is, though, is that Miguel was able to get to the Castle Age just in time, make some of his own knights. He has enough spearmen. He should be able to mop this up with really no difficulty at all. Slam will lose, I think, both of his knights before he can react, so this is great. Miguel going to put down another town center, and now I feel like this is when Miguel gets a nice little momentum shift. His stables produce knights 20% faster. His economy is really kicking into high gear because he saved so much wood from not having to build houses. Still, though, Slam has his discounted stable units, but he has only 1 stable, so Miguel should be able to get the pushback.
Yeah, absolutely, and you see Miguel even adding his 2nd and 3rd TC there, so he actually made a really good transition into the Castle Age. He was able to squeeze out 4 knights in total. He's got another one on the way. Sorry, that's 6 knights in total. That's actually really good to get 6 knights out and then not have any delay getting a 3rd TC as well. Miguel putting himself into a strong position there. And he also managed to get +1 defense on top of all that. So he's really managed his food economy very nicely after transitioning from scouts. So good play by him. On the left side, I don't know if there's been much action there. It looks like RiuT had a go at MbL's wall, but didn't break through. MbL just defending with his own crossbow now, and up to 2 TCs.
Yeah, it's a fascinating 2v2. We see knights versus knights on the right side, and then crossbows versus crossbows on the left. MbL's crossbowman a little bit out of position, not sure exactly where he was going with that army. But it looks like RiuT and Miguel will group up. RiuT has a very, very large army of crossbowmen, of course, sustained by that Celt's woodchopping bonus. MbL, though, should be able to hold the line because he's just able to stonewall at the back, so once these houses and palisades are breached, he should be fine, even though it looks like he's just outnumbered.
He will give away that gold, though.
Yeah.
Not that that's too important right now, but, you know, if you can keep the gold and the resources on the inside of your walls, that's really going to be the favorable option, isn't it? So, yeah, MbL here might even actually end up going down anyway, because this house is the weak link in this wall, and of course that's immediately what Miguel and RiuT are going to focus fire. But MbL at the back with his own crossbow now as well, and I don't know if he can come around the back and maybe trap them in. Maybe this is something where some teamwork could come into play, and Slam could go in through this gap between the house and the cliffside and actually deal with this army while they're trapped in here. Imagine if MbL was able to, like, you know, trap all of this and just massacre it from within this little box. That would be amazing, and they've got to be very careful not to get too stuck in there.
Yeah, it would be amazing, and it would basically turn this game around. So, Nilfair, what do you think of this situation?
At the moment it is Slam with only one stable. He did build some... Yeah, I'm not muted, okay. He did build one honesty to defend himself at home. And I think the push was pretty nice, and the quick walls of MbL were absolutely necessary. MbL did delay the +2 attack for quite some time. RiuT did have it, he even has University, Ballistics, and he was ready to fight, but nice delay here by MbL and Slam. And now I think they should have the better eco.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there, and it's that better eco that can, of course, make the difference in this case. This is quite a close situation, but it looks like neither team wants to engage.
I don't know about MbL having a better eco. He's only on 2 town centers right now. He's actually adding his 3rd in at the moment. Whereas Slam, Slam, RiuT, and Miguel all have 3 TCs running. And I'd say right now Slam has the best eco out of everybody. But, yeah, I mean, he's going to be obviously going and committing a bit more heavily into Knights now as well, as he adds his 2nd stable. An engagement coming in here, though, and Slam's got his monks at the ready, so if you can get some conversions off, this could totally turn it around. Miguel actually running towards the monks before retreating. That might have been like a movement bug thing, I'm not sure, but I think that gave him a knight or 2, and that's going to push RiuT and Miguel right away.
Wow.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Upgrade-wise, I mean, Miguel and RiuT actually have the upgrade advantage right now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Miguel has Bloodlines, and Slam does not, and RiuT has +1 defense, whereas MbL does not. So they actually have better upgrades on their units, but they're unable to win the fight, even still.
Yeah, I was going to point out the upgrade discrepancy is you would think that the +1 defense for RiuT would really allow him to come out on top of those crossbowman exchanges, but that just didn't work out that way. That was an absolute disaster for them, as Miguel lost a couple of his knights for free, and that just allowed Slam's knights to push onto those crossbowmen, get so many free pickoffs, and right now they're applying so much pressure. Miguel wants to put a town center on that gold mine, but they are moving in. Can he hold the line? He has to be very careful not to lose any of his knights to a conversion.
Yeah, and that's going to be really difficult because, you know, he has to retreat in order to protect his knights here, which means that his villagers won't be able to finish the TC, and then that's going to end up going down. Problem here is that RiuT is in the wrong place. He didn't actually stay with his teammate, and so it's 2 versus 1 on Miguel right now, as Slam builds a forward siege workshop as well, gets the TC deny, and MbL and Slam together pushing through this gap. Really nicely done. And I don't know here where RiuT is actually going with his army, but he's in the wrong place right now.
Indeed he is. Now Miguel trying his best to engage on that hill so he takes 25% less damage and deals 25% more, but really he just does not have the numbers that he needs. The fact that Slam has mixed in a couple of monks with his army has been absolutely crucial, and I feel like Miguel putting that town center there, knowing that they just got pushed back, was a little bit greedy. but maybe he'll be able to rescue that one later, although I do feel like he is going to have to delete that foundation. Meanwhile, Slam with the forward siege workshop will allow him to really push in, and Miguel's in a ton of trouble. RiuT has to save the day, so he's coming in from the back.
Yeah, look how all in Miguel has gone right now. Look how many stables he just put up. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stables from Miguel. I don't know why he's made 9, but he is just queuing scouts. He's going light cavalry. He's going to be making knights as well. He is just basically saying, right, I'm 100% committed to defending this, and I'm just going to throw all of my resources into this military production here to make sure that this aggression from Slam and MbL gets repelled at the end of the day. This is good for RiuT though, because it does give him a lot of free space back at home, and RiuT right now building a market. He's just going to be going imp very soon, whereas you know, Miguel has to commit everything to stopping this, even in like nearly a 2v1. Obviously RiuT does have some crossbows here to help out.
Yeah, so he's mixing in the light cavalry, I think, as a way to try and deal with those monks, but like you said, he also needs to just go all in on this defense. The unfortunate part, though, is that hill, backed with all those monks, mangonels, and siege workshop, it's going to be so difficult for them to repel this. But Miguel has a very healthy-sized economy. The question is, what do they need to do to push back here? Niltfair, what do you think?
At the moment, even if they push it back, it's looking so good for Slam and MbL. MbL's on the way to Imperial Age. They didn't invest much. They have so much map control. They're controlling the front gold. They can always take a reasonable engagement down there to the monks in the back. And yeah, I think MbL and Slam just keep there to wait for the Imperial upgrades, and then they're in prime position to deny so much of Miguel's ego.
Yeah, everybody's up to Imperial except for Miguel here, who's forced into this position where he has to defend. Because if he doesn't throw everything at this and he doesn't defend it, it's game over anyway. So he may as well commit everything to stopping this push. Now, I think as soon as they hit the Imperial Age, they want to be engaging at that point or before, because they want to kill this army before it gets upgrades on it. And the more units they can kill now, the better. So the engagement's going off as Miguel comes in. I'll let Rez take over from here.
So the real question is, can they win this fight before the Imperial Age comes into play? Because that's when the upgrade discrepancy is going to certainly lose them it. Miguel trying to focus fire down those monks. He will be able to pick off a couple of them, but it looks like the hill advantage is just too much. So many units going down the drain. Miguel and RiuT repelled, and this is an absolute disaster for them. Now Slam is in the Imperial Age. He's going to start researching Cavalier at any moment, but RiuT not close, not too far behind. RiuT will be able to start getting some of his own upgrades, and this is looking awful for Miguel. He needs to get to the Imperial Age now, and they were not able to win that fight.
Yeah, that was really bad for them. I really thought they might have a chance at taking that fight there on the hill, but nope, they got repelled, and this is amazing for Slam and MbL now, as they're both in the Imperial Age, and Miguel is just stuck in Castle Age here. Obviously, Slam with the Cavalier upgrade is going to come in any second now. RiuT as the Celts. He's got these crossbows here, but he can't upgrade them past crossbow. He's going to have to make a tech switch, of course, and that tech switch is going to be into Woad Raiders, but he's not ready yet. He's not prepared yet. And so this army from RiuT, it's a small amount of units, and it's not really going to do much now for the rest of this game. I'm a little concerned for Miguel. This could be the end of the game for him as this Cavalier upgrade comes in for Slam.
I feel like the game just snowballed out of control after they lost that engagement in the middle of the map, and then that town center got denied, slowing down the economy. We see Miguel trying his best to stockpile some resources to go to Imp, but now he sees the writing on the wall. He knows he can't do it, so he just drained everything. He's pouring out as many units as he can, but with Arbalest done for MbL, with Cavalier done for Slam, RiuT does not have access to Arbalest of his own. His crossmen really start to drop off in the Imperial Age. These guys are going to get cleaned up, and I think Miguel's going to, they're going to call GG.
There you have it. It's over. Miguel and RiuT going down there. And that was a pretty decisive game for Slam and MbL, to be honest. They played a good one. And really, where did it all go wrong for RiuT and Miguel? I feel like Miguel didn't have a great early castle. He was a little later to get to the castle age compared to everyone else. He wasn't able to do a huge amount with his knights. And meanwhile, Slam was booming. Slam was up to like 3-4 TCs. Comfortably, without any pressure back at his base. Sure, MbL had a little bit of heat on his main gold, but they managed to clean that up fairly easily. And with Slam adding in the monks, I feel like that was really decisive. The point where Slam added in his second and third stable and the monastery, that was really why they were able to push out, taking advantage of those cheaper Berber Cavalier and basically just holding this hill at the front of Miguel's base. They just couldn't push it out against that and able to secure themselves the victory with it.
Any final analysis, Niltfair, before we check out the achievements and move into the next game?
Zach actually said it pretty well. I think so. MbL delaying RiuT and Miguel at the front door so much that MbL+Slam with this very strong ego could go into more knights, more monasteries, but more than 0 is always obviously more. And that really helped out to have a strong eco and the same production, so they smashed the first fight, and after that we had a push against Miguel and RiuT completely out of position. His walls were so unfortunate because he re-walled several times and therefore couldn't really help, and Miguel couldn't engage against any monks where he really needed some expo support.
All right, thank you for the analysis, Niltfair. We'll jump straight into, I believe this is the last game for the day, right, Zach?